Welcome to the Red Dirt Film Podcast with Marisa
and Damon. Each week we let you in on what's happening in the film world
and review a film, including interviews, contests, and more.
Hello!
Hello! Happy Friday!
Happy Friday!
Hey guys, you made it to Friday, and we're excited to bring you this week's movie news.
And review.
Yes, and review, but we're starting with movie news. Alright, Damon. I don't know if you've heard of this little film that came out in 1977 called Star Wars. I don't know if you're really that familiar with Star Wars, but apparently there's some new thing coming out in December. You want to tell us about that?
Yes. I am getting a lot of glee from the release order of these films because, for those of you who don't know, I'm a college professor who actually teaches about the mythology of Star Wars, and this has been a movie franchise that's been the closest thing to my heart since I was 2 years old. I could go on and on about my earliest memories of it, but that would bore everyone. But nonetheless, Star Wars comes down to Star Wars and Dracula for me. And Star Wars, every film in that series are ones that I will weep over in the theater. I know every line.
Okay,
I'm a big nerd.
Let's just be honest. You weep over the trailers for the upcoming film.
Oh, that's
it's not
true.
Just the movies.
If either of you are friends with either Marisa or myself on Facebook, you can scroll back to that trailer release date last year, or I guess it was actually at this point about a year and a half ago, the latest trailer that hit the screen where we got to see Han Solo for the first time. Yeah, I was crying, and Marisa got that all on video and posted it. However, this new film series, I'm very much on the fence about it. I'm glad to be seeing new content, but there's a myriad number of problems I have with it. I just think it's kind of funny. I get a chuckle out of it because the original films were all released out of chronological order, and they're keeping up the usual for this new reboot because I think most people are going to be going to the theater this December expecting to see a follow-up to what they saw last December. And
oh, you think people don't know this is an in-between the story?
I think most people who pay attention to what's going on in this series absolutely know.
Yeah.
But I think the general public is going to show up looking for Rey and Kylo Ren and Finn and
right.
wondering what happened.
Right, and that'll be the next year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll see them again in 2017.
Yes, so the plan, of course, with this new trilogy is that in between each of the chapter films, meaning Episode 7, Episode 8, Episode 9, there are interstitial films that are sort of spin-off stories that fill in some of the gaps.
Okay, with characters that we don't know yet.
Yes, mainly. I mean, there are recurring characters. We will see Darth Vader in Rogue One, which is what this film is called.
Okay.
It comes out December 16th of this year. Whether or not there's going to be as big of a big merchandising and hype push as we saw with the last film, I'm giving the indication that's not going to be as big. Really? I think this is seen as kind of a more adult-centric film, something that's a little bit more of I really don't think it's going to do the box office the last one did, but I have been very wrong about these things before.
Well,
are you excited? Because you are not a big nerd like me in this department.
But I love Star Wars, so I think most people love Star Wars, don't they? I mean, a large part of the population has favorites, at least. I think favorite episodes or favorite.
I think most people will say they like it, but I have in recent years met some people that just flat out hate it, which is surprising. But then again, you can't please everybody.
True. Okay, what's going on with Blair Witch?
Blair Witch. Oh, I see what you did there. You're quite the strategist.
I can go.
She skipped over a topic that would have been a little bit too similar to what we were already talking about. Oh, go you. This is why you're the one.
I have a plan. I have a plan.
All right, Blair Witch. All right, so...
Which can I say I've never seen, Blair Witch?
I was a huge fan. Okay, let me tell you my Blair Witch story. I'm not going to ramble, but...
You have a story?
I will get off on a tangent. I do have a story. I saw Blair Witch probably 5 months before it was actually released to theaters. 1999.
Okay.
This was the summer of Star Wars.
Okay.
It's when The Phantom Menace came out. It was the big return of Star Wars on the big screen. That's what everyone's mind was about. If it wasn't that, it was Austin Powers 2. And Stanley Kubrick's last film, Eyes Wide Shut.
And Blair Witch was an indie project, right?
Blair Witch was made for $30,000, made hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, it's still making money to this day. But anyway, somehow, Colin Ward, who I have mentioned before, one of my best friends, he knew a guy who knew a guy who worked at a Suncoast video store. Remember those in the mall? Oh, they were big if you were a movie fan in the 90s. Somehow this guy got a bootleg tape of the Sundance premiere, which had come out probably 6 months prior.
Right.
So we knew this film was going to hit theaters 4 or 5 months down the line, and we decided to all get together at his girlfriend's house at the time and turn out all the lights and watch this film that some of us were starting to hear buzz about. We watched it on this old, crappy VHS tape. It was all grainy. It was even more grainy and distorted than what you actually saw in the theater. So it made it that much more immediate and real. And of course, we all knew it was just a campaign that had been put together for the purposes of the film. But nonetheless, it was one of the most memorable movie experiences of my life. So I've always been a fan of Blair Witch. I even really appreciated what Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky did with the sequel. I had all the PC games and everything, but now we have a reboot of the original film. And the funny thing about this film is that it was, for the past year or so, in production, titled The Woods.
Oh.
So everyone who knew that this filmmaker is making this film called The Woods, they were just guessing it was in a completely original horror film.
Mm-hmm.
But the studio had wanted to keep the wraps on it and pretend like it was something that it wasn't. So it would be a big surprise.
Right.
I don't really see how that strategy pays off because the general public never even knew about this. And now when it's being advertised, which it is right now, people just see, oh, there's a new Blair Witch movie. There's no big bait and switch here. It would have been kind of cool if they would have kept the title The Woods.
So you're calling it a reboot. So is it the same thing redone, or is it totally different?
It's the exact same thing that all these movie franchises are doing these days. It's just like with the latest Star Wars film. It's a sequel, but at the same time, it's a reboot to bring in new people who a decade ago were not paying attention to what was going on with this series.
Oh.
So it's
So when is that supposed to be?
Now, let me just say, I don't remember the exact release date. I think it's sometime later this month in September, maybe
soon.
early October.
Okay.
I mean, they're trying to cash in on the holiday season.
Right. The Halloween.
Which, I work part-time at Kohl's. Let me say, it is just the blanket holiday season. We currently have Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas stuff all up simultaneously as of this week. This Blair Witch film, the reason this is notable, most people would say, why even cover this? It's just another random horror film coming out for Halloween. But this film has been getting insane buzz. Like, a lot of the most respected film journalists who saw an advanced screening of this a few months ago at some film festivals, they saw it under the title The Woods. They really were not expecting what it came out to be, and the buzz has been incredible. People have been giving it 9 out of 10s and just really hyping it, saying it's really amazing. So,
good deal.
Color me excited.
We'll have to watch it and then talk about it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, and this week we had the big 50th anniversary.
Now, wait a minute. I don't feel like we had enough of you involved in that there.
I don't know anything about it.
I know, and that's perfect. I want to know,
I know nothing about it.
Absolutely nothing.
I think it's in black and white. Is it?
A small portion of it. Small portion.
And I think I would get motion sick if I watched it because of the camera shake.
There's no way.
I get motion sick really easily.
True.
So
okay.
That's all I have to say about Blair Witch.
Well, just so you know, I can't say that for certain. I don't know.
I really don't know anything. Is it a witch named Blair? Is someone's last name Blair? I have no idea.
It's the township of Blair.
Oh, the township of Blair. And there's a witch?
Yes.
There's actually a witch.
Kelly Edwards. She was a witch from the 1700s, and the whole legend about her. And
Does it take place in the 1700s?
So these film students, no, it takes place. There was going to be a third movie in the late 90s, early 2000s, where they were going to go and make a period film, a very stylized period film set in that time period, telling her story, which I would have loved.
Oh, they should do that.
But yeah, but anyway, I just wondered what your thoughts were, like why, I mean, I know it's not your thing, the genre, so I just wondered what's your thoughts on it generally?
Well, I have no thoughts yet.
Okay.
I want to be fair and see it before I have thoughts.
Okay, Star Trek 50th anniversary.
Yes, 50th anniversary of Star Trek. Woohoo!
Indeed.
Are we just saying yay to that, or do you have something
Yay!
to say?
Celebrate. 1966.
Obviously, we can do the math.
Yep. That's, I've read countless books as a teen. I grew up, I hate that word teen so much. I hate the word teenager even more. But anyway, nonetheless, when I was about that age, I read countless production books about the behind the scenes and the bringing together of this franchise. And it was something that fascinated me. And actually, I always had a plan to make a big screen feature film, an ensemble piece about those early days of this coming together. Unfortunately, someone's just beat me to it. There's been a film announced.
Oh, wow.
I think it may be a television movie, which kind of takes it down many pegs. But nonetheless, that is happening in celebration of the 50th anniversary. As far as I'm concerned, once the Next Generation ended, there could have never been anything else, except for maybe the reboot in 2009, and I would have been happy with that. But it says a lot that Star Trek has continued to find an audience all these years.
Yes.
With many, many, many spin-off projects.
There's a reason why the term Trekkie was coined.
Indeed.
So, okay. Moving on to the movie that we are discussing today, which I have seen.
Da-da-da-da!
Ready? It is Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Ba-bum-bum. 1964.
1964.
From my favorite filmmaker of all time.
Really?
Stanley Kubrick.
Yes.
Color me Kubrick.
I know. You love him so much. So, Damon has taught this film many times in classes, so you've seen it several times.
Mm-hmm.
I've only seen clips of it, and then it through one time. So, do you want to give a brief synopsis of what it's about?
Since I learn and grow in life, let me just say, my review of this movie, or the synopsis, I should say, is that a B-52 bomber is sent to Soviet territory during the Cold War with orders to bomb a facility. Unbeknownst to them, the Soviets have created what's called a doomsday device, which will trigger a worldwide nuclear explosion if any nukes ever go off in their territory. And so then it becomes a whole chain of events, people trying to get the recall code back to this bomber before the bomb actually drops, and comedy ensues.
Well, it's like a black comedy,
yeah,
right?
It's very much a black comedy.
It is very funny. It has its own sense of humor because it's really laugh out loud funny, but it just keeps going along, and a lot of the people are kind of deadpan about it, So, my favorite character is played by Slim Pickens, who is the pilot General King Kong, and if I had to say my favorite thing about this entire film, it is that there is this huge disaster about to happen that will wipe out everyone. And everyone's just totally calm. It's like, in 57 minutes this could happen. But everyone's still talking about weird subjects. And there's really only one person who's kind of freaking out about it. It's the guy with the crazy general who ordered this to happen. Basically, press the red button, so to speak, and all this happens. The president and his cabinet don't know what's going on. They're trying to figure it out. They're calling Russia and chatting about it. And it's just mayhem is ensuing, but people are just, it's hilarious. They're just calm.
It is human nature under a microscope.
Is that what he was doing?
You have the Russian ambassador looking for fresh fish in the catering on the catering tables, and trying to sneak pictures of the big board, the military map, there in the war room of the Pentagon, and insults being traded left and right between sides, and it's just a lot of these actors, you can very easily see them as if they are children.
Yes, that's true. The only person that seems to be actually worried and trying to quickly figure out how to stop this is Lionel Mandrake. And so, do you want to talk about the characters as played?
Yeah, Peter Sellers plays this role. The wonderful Peter Sellers. If you've ever seen the Pink Panther films, you know him from those. That's what he was most famous for, of course. But in this film, he plays 3 separate roles.
Very different
He
roles.
is very unrecognizable in at least 2 of the 3 roles.
So he's the president.
He's the president
of the United States.
President Merkin Muffley. If you don't get the sexual connotations of either one of those 2 words that make up the name, look it up.
Yeah, all the names are pretty amazing.
Very Dickensian names thrown in here. Then he also plays the group General Lionel Mandrake, whom Marisa just referenced, who is sort of our main character. He's our go-to everyman that we kind of fill his shoes, because he's the only sane person in the movie.
He really is.
And then he plays the title character, Dr.
Strangelove,
Strangelove, which I always try to memorize the German origin of his name.
He's from Germany.
He is very much an homage to the German expressionist films of the 1920s, down to his mechanical arm, which quite frequently attacks him and tries to choke him while he's in the middle of these would-be negotiations.
Right. So, I just had a good question and I lost it. Who's your favorite character in this? Or do you have one?
My favorite, I identify perhaps the most with Lionel Mandrake, but the character I love to watch the most is George C. Scott's general character. I believe he's a general. I'm not sure of his rank exactly, but he's pretty high ranking. His acting.
Yeah, he's a general. Buck.
Yeah, Buck Turgidson.
Right.
He and his secretary, and just his reactions, the turn of phrases that he uses, the way he gets into when he stands up on a chair and puts his arms out and tries to mimic how great the B-52 bombers are at barreling into enemy territory.
Is he the one that's chewing gum?
He's constantly just...
I have to tell you, how many times did I go get a piece of gum while we were watching this? He makes you want a piece of gum.
It's like when you watch the Godfather trilogy and all you want the entire time is a giant sheet cake. White sheet cake. Because I don't know if you've... Don't ever try to have a Godfather marathon without having the largest white sheet cake on hand that you can find.
All right. Good to know. So, Dr. Strangelove... I know what my question was. You mentioned... sort of the wall that the Russian ambassador was taking pictures of to try to get inside information, the big board. And they point to that a lot as, some amazing guidance system. Oh, the big board. And it's really funny. But you actually said that Kubrick came under some sort of investigation. Yeah,
Kubrick was an early filmmaker who, I should say young filmmaker, who... he did not have carte blanche to just do whatever he wanted. And even on a level, something like this, government related during the Cold War, he would have never had access to what a lot of these things looked like. But he was actually under investigation by I don't remember if it's CIA or FBI or both, right after the release of the film, because no one knew what the war room at the Pentagon looked like at all. It's very expressionistic looking, which... totally fits in. I mean, there's a reason this movie was purposefully shot in black and white. I mean,
Right.
it really nails. There's so many reasons why. I'm not even going to get into that right now. But between that and the interior of a B-52 bomber, which no one had ever seen the interior of if you were not part of military crew, he had his set designers piece this together from scratch based purely on hundreds of articles and books and things that he had read himself personally where people who had been on them had described them. But it was just down to every button was so in place that...
That's Kubrick, though.
Yeah, they
right?
figured he had to have gotten on board and taken pictures of the bomber.
Wow.
So
he got it pretty much right on.
But, I mean, that's typical of Kubrick. His obsessiveness and how that man had time to do what he did was mind-boggling.
So anything else you want to say about Dr. Strangelove? What would you rate Dr. Strangelove, Professor?
I would rank it as highly as possible. I don't know. But what's our... We've never really...
I say we do out of 5 stars.
Out of 5. And
now, I would rank it differently depending on what area it was in, honestly. Because if it was pure enjoyment, just entertainment value, I would probably rate it like a 3.5 or 4. Because you really have to pay attention and follow, and it's not just an easy watch. I don't think.
Well, that's why I waffled a little bit.
But if it's on the humor and the sort of ingenuity of the whole thing, I would definitely give it a 5. So
yeah. I waffled a little bit because it is ranked in the IMDb's top.
Oh yeah.
I think it's in the top.
It's like 99% on Rotten Tomatoes even. That's really high.
It may be in the top 50 films of all time. But I was this time we watched it. I had not seen it in probably a year and a half or 2. And I began to wonder how a modern audience would react to it. I could not see a lot of younger people having the attention span to really stay with it.
Right, yeah. You have to think and pay attention and to really get all of the amazing writing.
It's hard for a film like that to compete with something like, say, I don't know, Captain America Civil War. I mean, if people are watching a film purely for entertainment, I think you're right. It's not... It requires a little bit of effort. Yes. But I don't think a whole lot.
No, it's not hard to follow.
It's not like watching an Ingmar Bergman film.
It was good.
Okay.
So that's my ratings. You should watch Dr. Strangelove. It's great. It's on everywhere because, it's Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah, the beautiful conceit about the film, I had not mentioned this, it was actually based on a nonfiction book called Red Alert.
Yes.
Which was a book about, hey, this is a real threat to our world right now, and here is potentially what could happen. And it went down a laundry list.
Satirical.
Well, no, the book was dead serious. The book said...
the movie is satirical.
So Kubrick, when he had the rights to this book to adapt it to a film, he had the genius to turn it into a comedy.
Yeah.
Because as he began to work with the material, he realized how ridiculous it is that we as humans can wield such power against each other and be so petty about our reasons for it.
Right.
So he hired one of the top British comedians at the time, Terry Southern, and had him take the book and turn it into a comedy.
Okay.
And it's very interesting that a few years ago, it may have been the year 2000, so a little bit more than a few years ago. We're getting old.
2000 seems like just a couple years ago.
George Clooney decided, let me take the original Failsafe novel. It's called Failsafe, not Red Alert. Sorry. Yeah, Failsafe. He took the original Failsafe novel and turned it into a live television movie. And I think there were some other notable actors in it. Mm-hmm. But he adapted it just straight from the book. No humor at all. Just, here's the way it would go down. I understand it was not too well received. Oh. I've always wanted to see it. I actually own it. Oh. I'll get around to watching it someday, but it's kind of hard every time you're thinking about it. When you're approaching that subject, like, I don't know. I want to see some Slim Pickens in there.
Oh, I know. He's great. so great. So great. We don't want to ruin the ending for anyone that hasn't seen it, but it's worth watching the film just to see the ending because it's so great.
I was going to ask you about, well, we can't get into it.
I like the ending.
I was interested on your
I was
thoughts
a big fan of the ending.
We can talk about that off the air. And in fact, that will be one of our bonus takeaways.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I've been collecting a lot of audio that for our paid subscribers, you'll get access to this. And, I would imagine if you're a paid subscriber, you will have seen Dr. Strangelove already. So you can hear Marisa's thoughts on the ending.
Yeah, well, it's great. And, yes, so if you would like to pay $4.99 a month, I mean, that's cheap for what we're going to send you. And
it's like a cup of coffee these days.
I know. You can
on a single day.
4 podcasts with extras, so that's really good.
Well, not just that.
No, I know. I was just going to say.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. If you go to reddirtfilm.com and click on the store, then you can scroll down to the podcast, and it will tell you everything you get for the different
pricing
levels
packages.
of,
Yes.
pricing. So anyway, good fun in there. We want to let you know the contest that we are running this week. If you are one of our paid subscribers, and then we will put you into our little hat, and we will draw out your name. We actually do that. We really do. We actually put your name into like a bowl or a hat, and we really draw one out. We're old school that way. If you are one of our paid subscribers, you'll go into that. So tell them what they'll win.
Well, Marisa, this week they'll win a VIP ticket to the next Red Dirt Film Fest,
which is March 2nd through 4th in Stillwater, Oklahoma,
2017.
And it is worth $125. You will get access to, of course, all of the films, plus a t-shirt, a Red Dirt t-shirt for the year, and a swag bag, and access to the VIP parties where there will be drinks and food, and you'll be able to hobnob with the filmmakers and with us. So we think it's worth it.
Special treatment.
Yes.
And of course, that comes with the paid podcast subscription. And I should say that we'll have some nice video content thrown at you. Like when we have those drawings out of a hat, it'll be special, and you'll have visual. You'll have ocular proof right there.
Apparently, it's going to be special.
Special edition.
Oh, that's exciting.
Red Dirt Special edition.
Who knew? All right, so reddirtfilm.com. Follow us on Facebook, Red Dirt Film. And like us, share us, ask us questions. We love to talk to you guys. We try to answer back as quickly as we can. And look forward to the film festival coming up in March.
Marisa, how much do you think I could bench press?
46. I think a pound more than last week.
Do you think I could bench press Emma Watson?
Oh, will you stop? You're weird.
Hey, this is a great theme song, huh?
Really?
All right.
Woo-hoo.
Check you all later.
All right, bye.
I'm just going to jam out to this.
Okay, bye. Bye.
See ya.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everyone.